Welcome to Google Dropbox Form Part 2. In Part 1 we learned how to make and edit a form that we will use as a work submission form for students. The second part deals with how do you get the form to the students. There are two ways to share a form with someone. One is to email the form to people, and so if you have created a contact list with all your students on it, you could certainly email the form to them. But if you're going to use the form over and over again, that can get a little tiresome. A better way is to embed the form into a web page, into your teacher web page. So I'm in my Google Drive. I'm going to open up the form that we created in Part 1 of the video. And it's always going to come up as a spreadsheet when I first see it. Most of the controls that you're going to use, you're going to find under the form menu. The little 0 here indicates that nobody has submitted to the form yet. As students submit, you'll see that number increase. If I need to change something on the form, I can go to edit. If I'm going to email, I would go to send form, but I want to embed in a web page. So I can either find that here, the embed in web page on the form menu, or if I'm editing the form, under more actions, I can click on embed. And this gives me the embed code. This is a piece of HTML code that you can put in a web page. You don't need to understand HTML. You don't need to be a coder. You just need to know how to copy and paste. So I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to copy. And then I can close that, and I'm going to close the edit window because I don't need to do any editing. I need to go to my teacher web page, so I'm going to go to the school's home page here. And I'm going to log in, sign in to SchoolWires. And once I get logged in, I'm going to go to the site manager. Now, if you just have a teacher website and no departmental or club sites that you're doing in SchoolWires, it should take you directly to your teacher website. If you have more websites under your control, then they'll appear on a list here. So I'm going to go to my library web page, and I'm going to go to the overview page. Yours will say overview or welcome, and I'm going to open that up. And I'm going to create a new web page. So I'm going to click on new page, and I'm going to scroll down, and I'm going to use the Flex Editor page, which is just a generic web page. And I'm going to call this work submission form. You can call it, Mr. Smith's Dropbox, whatever you want to call it. Okay, so then I'm going to save that page. And if you've used SchoolWires before, you'll know that it just drops the page down at the bottom of the list. To edit the page, I have to click on the title. So I click on Work Submission Form. And it brings up the little editor here. I can't just paste the embed code into this window when it's set to normal. This is more like a text editor. What I need to do is get to the HTML view, the hypertext markup language. And I'm going to right click and paste my code in here. One little quirk I've noticed with SchoolWires this year, one of many little quirks, is that to right click I really need to be right up in this upper left hand corner, otherwise it doesn't give me the paste option. So I have to be very close to the blinking cursor. So I paste the code, and then I just click save, and that form is in my web page now. So I can close this, and if I go to my web page, scroll down on the left here, here's work submission form. That's the page we just created, and there's the form. Okay, and you may want to go in and tweak your form a little bit if your template that you applied, this one gets cut off a little bit in this window. You can go in and change it. Another nice thing about these forms is that when I edit the form, so let's go to edit, and I decide that I want to change my theme here from letterhead to, let's go with books, since we're working on the library page. And I'm going to apply that and close my page. And now if I come back over here and reload the page, it automatically updates the web page. I like this one. I like the colors on it because the text boxes stand out very nicely. But you'll notice I did not have to go back in through SchoolWires to update the web page. It automatically does it when I change my form. And so the same thing goes when I add assignments. I never have to go back into SchoolWires. I just update the form through Google Docs. And the less we have to go into SchoolWires, the better. Okay, so now you want to know what you're going to see when the students submit to the form. It is very quick. I'm going to, let me get a document here. I'm going to submit this document to my Google form. So I'm going to pretend I'm a student. When your students have completed their document, you're going to have them click on the share button, and this is whether they're working in a group or not, and you're going to have them change the rights from private, so you're going to click on change here, to anyone in our district who has the link, and that's basically just going to be you. Since you're the teacher and you're going to want to be able to put comments onto documents, you want to make sure they change the rights here to can comment. If you think you might want to change the actual content of the document for them, then you can have them put it as can edit. But I usually just tell them to put can comment. And just like with changing the form, the student can go back and change those permissions at any time and does not need to resubmit. And so when I do that, the student gets the link to share. So you're going to right click on that and they're going to copy, and then they can be done with that. And they can even close the document. And so back here in the form, they're going to fill out their name. And you want to make sure that they do everything they're supposed to do. And then this last box here, which is the paragraph text box that we created, they're going to right click and they're going to paste, and that is the link to share. Okay. And I notice that we have a little problem with this window here. I'll have to go in and tweak the code a little bit on that. But they submit. And now if I go back to my work submission form, here is the submission. It goes in instantly. You can use this as an exit slip in class if you have the kids working on computers during class time. And you'll be able to see as each one submits. So you can say, okay, Joe, you submitted yours, you can go. When you go to edit the documents, you would click on this link. It opens up a go to link little pop-up. And I click on that, and then it will take me directly into the student's document. And then you can go in, and since they've set it to can comment, you can just add general comments, or you can highlight text and you can add a comment that's anchored to that text there. So you can say great job, or that paragraph goes someplace else, whatever it is that you want to put on there. Okay, so I said when I looked at my form that I probably need to tweak this. And this is something you may want to check with me personally on how to do this. The submission button is missing, and I don't like this having to scroll within the form. So what I can do in SchoolWires, I'm going to go back into my site manager, and I'm going to go to my work submission form. Okay, and I want to go back in and view the HTML. This is where it gets a little tricky, but somewhere in the HTML you'll find a width setting and a height setting. And so I want to change that height setting from 828. I'm going to make it a little bit longer so that the submission button, the submit button, is not hidden and they don't have to scroll. So if I make it 1,000, that should be better. Let's go back and check that. I'm going to reload my page. And you'll see that I lost that scroll bar right here because now the form is long enough so that the submit button shows up. So that's just a little a little bit of HTML tweaking that you may need to do. And of course, you can just play with different templates too. The template affects how it displays in the page. But that's basically it. Let's look at a Dropbox that is actually being used. This is Miss Brandt's Dropbox for her senior English. She has already had 502 submissions, so she's having the kids add quite a few documents, and so you see they're doing their personal statement 1 and 2, and so if we click on that and highlight it, and if the kid has set the permissions correctly, I should be able to go directly into, so this is Roman's personal statement. This is not in my Google Drive, it's in the student's Google Drive, but he's given me permission to go in there and look at it. And so that's what it looks like. You can also, if this gets overwhelming, since she has like 500 submissions, one thing you can do is, as assignments are finished, I'm going to click on row 2, and then I'm going to shift click on row 17, and then I right click, and I can go to hide rows 2 through 17 or 2 through 550, and now those rows won't show up. They're still in there, and I can get them back anytime I want, just by clicking twice on there, and the rows come back. So that's a nice management tool. You can make it a little bit easier on your eyes. You don't have to worry about having to scroll through 600 rows to find the most current documents. Okay, and that is basically it. So if you have any problems making your form, let me know, and I'd be happy to help.